There's an ant biting my leg right now. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm going to show y'all how to bulk load your own film today. If you don't know what that is, it involves purchasing or obtaining 100 feet 35 millimeter film, and you take empty 35 millimeter cartridges and you use a bulk loader and you feed some of that film from the 100-foot roll into an empty cartridge. This is what you'll need to get started bulk loading your own film. You're going to need 100 foot of film. The other thing you're going to need is a dark bag, and dark bags are pretty essential when you're getting into film photography. Whenever I was thinking of getting into bulk loading, I did my research, and there seemed to be a lot of good reviews for both, but the teardrop style I ended up choosing because it didn't use felt along the gate of the loader. It could potentially light leak and or scratch your film. So I ended up going with the Watson teardrop style.
Basically, in this circular compartment, this is going to contain your 100 feet of film. And if we just unscrew it here, you can see it is just a big light-proof room. This is where our 100-footer is going to go. There's a little door here that, if this is in the closed position, like so, this door can open, and we know it's in the closed position because we're going to turn it this direction in the closed position. And so when it's in that position, this allows you to open this door, and this basically is where the empty cartridge is going to be put. Your film is going to be poking out here. You attach it to your canister, your cartridge, your empty cartridge, and then you close this. Then you would go ahead and open the gate, but remember, this door has to be shut. And also note that this little tab here kind of puts pressure on the door, so you really don't want this to be in the open position and this door to be open. I mean, the only way you could do that is if you had it half turned and then you open the door, because what that does is there is a gate you can see open and close, and you definitely don't want it in the open position, because all that film is going to get exposed to light and ruin your film. So be careful with these daylight loaders. There's a counter here, and the film counter, when you get the film attached to the canister, it uses these little sprockets similar to what you see in your camera, and it actually will turn this knob so that you can get a general assumption of how many exposures that you're loading into your cartridge.
Yeah, so the other supplies you're going to need are some tape, some scissors,
Empty cartridges. I like mine to have a little bit of the film left.
So this is what you're going to need, an empty cartridge, and There's a couple ways to obtain these. You can buy them or you can get them from your local lab
I work at Nelson Photo Lab in
in San Diego, and
we have tons of these.
reach out to your local lab and ask for empty canisters,
Preferably
with a substantial amount of film sticking out like this, because this is going to be the part that you tape to your new film. Okay, so let's get cracking. Okay, so I have my 100 feet of film,
I have my dark bag.
and I need my empty bulk loader that I'm basically in the dark bag. Going to unscrew this.
And mind you, we're
We're all in this dark bag,
I'm definitely not going to open this right now.
but basically when
You lift up
the lid, there's going to be another kind of bag, and inside that bag is going to be your 100 foot of film. You're going to take out that, you're going to find where the end is.
usually there's a piece of tape.
Keeping it all together, and
You basically want to find that, remove that, and then get a piece of the film kind of in your hand.
you're going to place it in here,
I usually have the
lid up,
like this.
and then feed just a portion of that film up this way. And you basically want the film to be running like, here's the end of it, and you want it to be kind of going in this direction, almost like a spiral. So the leader end is going to be here, popping out of this gate, and it's going to be twisting onto the core, like so, and not
Kind of coming up from the bottom and up. That's going to load incorrectly. It won't be loading into the cartridge correctly. So I hope that makes sense. So I think I'm gonna get to it. Once you got your film inside, you want to go ahead and
screw it pretty tightly. But then sometimes I like to make it pretty taut and then see just how much I can move this gate. And if I can go a little bit tighter without screwing it on too tight, I don't want to strip any screws and
have this thing like, you know, open accidentally somewhere and then just expose all my film. So let's do this. I like to set the counter
to 0. So there's an arrow there.
And whenever I get in the dark bag, I've gotten in the habit of taking off my watch, even though it's not like a smart watch or anything where if I turn it a certain way, it's going to illuminate, but it does have a backlight, and I'm just not trying to accidentally expose my film.
Okay, I think we're all good. So right now our 100 foot
Of XP2 is contained
contained in here, and I'm going to show you the leader portion. So I want to make sure to open this to the closed position. So we're going to turn it. And now when we open this lid up, we're going to see the first bit of our film. This is the tape that comes with the 100-foot roll you buy, and I probably could have torn all that off, but yeah, so the film is safe because the gate is closed. It's very essential that it's in this upward position here, closed. And yeah, so next I'll show you how to load the cartridge itself in using your teardrop style bulk loader.
Oh, I should
Also mention that bulk loaders are pretty inexpensive, and sometimes you can find them new, or I should say still in their original box, and they've never been used before, and they're, what is it called, new old stock. And that's how I got this one, and it looks like it just stepped off the assembly line. The tape I use is just basic
Scotch
tape, and this is all that I need right here. If I wrap it just perfectly, I don't get any areas where the original film and the new film are separate. I don't want it to get caught pulling back into here on the actual cartridge and remove itself from the new film. I'll show you what I mean whenever I tape it on this backside. Sometimes needs a little bit extra to just kind of make sure it's secure. I'm going to lift up this extra part, set my empty cartridge here, overlap it. I usually like to line up the sprockets, the sprocket holes, I should say, and I don't want it to overlap too much. I really want the new film to be pretty close to the cut end of the empty canister. And so I think something like that. And then I just usually kind of pinch and hold it here. And oh, there we go. Yeah, pinch and hold it there. Go ahead and put my tape. I usually put the short end on my right side. This is probably reversed for y'all. And just kind of center it. And then I also just kind of let the Scotch tape do the work, kind of pinch it like so. And then with this short end, I go ahead and fold it under, and I also want it to be as flush to the edge of the film here. I want it to be flush. And then I'll go ahead and pinch it. And then on this other side, this is where I kind of try and pay attention to how the film, I don't want any of this new film to be lifted up. So this is a good kind of position, because then I can just fold this over. I'm going to go ahead and fold it over,
press it down, and then make sure that there aren't any or too many bubbles, and go ahead and do one more time. You don't need a ton of tape to go around. You just want it to, you don't want any flaps or kind of sharp ends that could potentially snag when you're trying to rewind it into your cartridge. So this side looks great, and then the other side also looks good. And then just kind of get that tape down, pinch it down, and now you know,
this whole time this gate right here has been closed.
So when you pull your cartridge to sit into the loading part, you should feel some tension. It shouldn't be like completely loose. If it is, then I hope that the gate isn't open and you've been exposing your film to light. So you'll see how the sprockets kind of marry here with the cogs, and then this is good. This arm kind of like sets in here, and this obviously is going to be what's turning the inside spool and pulling your new film into your cartridge. And this is like spring loaded, just kind of holds it in place here. So the next thing that we want to do, besides like checking the counter to be set on 0, is making sure that these marry and that the gear cogs are poking through the sprocket holes. And usually what I do is I start the winding process just so that I can make sure that this new taped area is going to move past the felt and the opening of this cartridge. I don't wind a whole lot, and when I do, I also hold this canister flat so that way it's not going to turn on me, and all I want it to do is just go in, just suck in just a little bit, and it did that. It was ever so slight, but now I know that this isn't going to get caught up on anything when I start to load it. So then we can go ahead and close this, and then we're going to go ahead and turn it while holding this down. I always hold this door down whenever I open the gate, and I move it, and I usually hold it in this position like so. And it's also so I can put tension on the cartridge here, and then with this arm set inside, you can slowly start to wind your film, and you should hear some clicks. Let me see if I can get this close to my mic. You'll hear some clicks and some creaks. And so now we can go ahead and start winding our new 100-foot roll of film into our empty cartridge. And you get to really decide how much film you want to put in there. I definitely would say it's great. When I first started getting into this, I was like, oh, I can shoot like, 36 plus shots. But then I realized in developing your own film, when you're working with Patterson reels, that they really only accept like probably like 39 frames, and then you basically run out of room on the reel. So I kind of ran into that issue real quick. So I stopped this thing on like, what is this, 24, and I'm just gonna stop, maybe make sure that I use this in a half frame camera, and I'll get 48 frames out of that. Next, we want to make sure that before we're ready to remove this, that we go ahead and close that gate again. So we're gonna turn it into the closed position, and now when we lift up this door, we have obviously exposed film here. This is just kind of like the Achilles heel of the teardrop style bulk loaders, is that there's this much distance between your new film and your ready to shoot film. All this is already exposed, so this is basically just leader, and it's excessive. One way to alleviate that is to, before you pull the film across to set into this compartment, you can put it in a dark bag. And I know that's like, oh, it's another step, but if you really don't want your last 2 frames and your first 2 frames to be exposed to light, you'll have to do that. But I didn't show you that just because I didn't want to complicate things. But if you let me know in the comments how to make sure that the end of your roll is not going to be exposed to light, I can show you or write back how. But the next thing we're going to do is we'll go ahead and cut this. Go ahead and lift this up. And I like to leave a little bit of leader that I can work with next time. When you're doing that tape job, it does help. And I'll usually maybe cut it about here. We'll go ahead and close this up, and we've already labeled it. This is also good to know. Always label what is in your bulk loader. And then making a leader for your newly loaded film. The taper is always going to be near the taper of your film cartridge, so it's going to be here. The Swiss Victorinox scissors are the shit, so I'm just going to go ahead and start tapering it. Pull a little bit of film out just to give me room to just like that. I hope that was in frame. So that looks pretty good. And now, you know, the next step would be to label this film, get some masking tape. So that is good enough for me. God, that's ugly. I could also write the number of exposures that's on here. That would also be helpful.
I hope this video was helpful. Yeah, if y'all have any questions, be sure to ask me in the comments, and please share this video, and I'll see you when I see you.